right, so the guy who wants to do this project in Pawtucket is here tonight.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you at part by Lookout Rhode Island and Taco Comfort Solutions.
So as we mourn the Paw Sox, and they're moving up 146 to Worcester, we think, pretty sure, Yogi said nothing's over till it's over, even though shovels are figuratively in the ground in Worcester. We've got a brand new project which has seized the momentum for Pawtucket, or bringing new energy to Pawtucket, and the good mayor there thinks that he's got more than a tiger by the tail here to turn this sucker around. And this one's different, and we'll talk to you about why it's different. The founder of the company that wants to do this project, and the guy we'll call the developer, I'm not even going to call him the potential developer, I'm going to call him the developer, because it seems like this thing is on track, is here tonight. Great to have you aboard. Thank you very much for tuning in. The original air date for this program is December 13th, so if it's Friday the 13th, don't get spooked. This is your original show. This show might be seen a couple more times over the course of the holidays. I don't think anything crazy is going to happen about this project before now and Christmas. In the meantime, because Friday's a great time to just kind of spread our wings, leave impeachment by the wayside if we can possibly do that, let's just focus in on this matter. Here's a headline that I think most of you have seen, and a really pretty picture that I hope you have taken a good look at. This particular news report is not the original one on the day of the announcement, but one which kind of follows up on what other things might be happening, and then we'll meet our guest.
This is a transformative day for the city of Pawtucket.
City and state leaders announcing a downtown redevelopment project for Pawtucket last week. Notably absent, McCoy Stadium, soon to be empty after the Paw Sox play their final Rhode Island game next year. While a new deal involving the stadium doesn't appear imminent, Pawtucket Mayor Donald Grebian says the future of the ballpark has not slipped their minds.
We still have options out there for reuse of McCoy, including baseball, some public access, but right now we're working with the Department of Administration, who's out doing an analysis on what the cost would be to bring it down to a single A team or another option.
The man who founded the Independent Atlantic Baseball League proposed bringing a new team to McCoy. Frank Bolton says after his talks with Rhode Island leaders, the door was left open to future negotiations, telling Target 12, if I can be part of helping professional baseball continue in Pawtucket, that's my main goal. Grebian has also said it's possible sports won't be in the cards for McCoy, saying the city might knock it down and designate it for municipal use.
All right, end of story. That's not happening. Okay, so can we please stop this ridiculous chatter about single A baseball, junior league baseball, Dan York League baseball, Brett Johnson League baseball? It's not happening. Stop it. Other than that, let's talk about the possibilities. Mr. Johnson, welcome to Rhode Island, although you are a Rhode Islander of sorts. You went to Brown.
I did.
So there you go.
Proud alum.
Congratulations on thus far gaining the attention and perhaps the heart and soul of Pawtucket at this point. Welcome aboard. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Wearing the scarf and everything. It's a visual.
I gotta fly it. I gotta fly it.
It's a visual.
That's it.
What is that thing?
So in soccer tradition, the scarf is very common relative to supporters of the teams. And so this is something that we use to visualize the launch of soccer here in Rhode Island. And we will, over time, this is the league that we play in, United Soccer League, incredibly successful organization I've had the benefit of being part of for 5 years.
We being your Phoenix team.
My Phoenix team. We've got some incredible partners in that market. We've done very well with the team. And I'm excited to bottle up some of that, obviously some of that success, and package it and bring it to the best market that doesn't have a professional soccer team, which is Rhode Island.
Did you play soccer?
I played, but my future in sport lay elsewhere. I recognized pretty early on that there were some other sports that I had a better calling, and I ended up rowing at Brown.
When did it, that's, my shoulders hurt thinking about it. Or my lats, probably your lats, right?
It all burns after a while.
I bet you it does. So your fascination with soccer began how? Give me the 30-second version of that.
5 years living in London. After graduating from Brown, I had a stint where I ran a company that was headquartered in London. And from there, I traveled all over the world and saw the religion by which the sport is treated everywhere. And as I came back to the States, I started to follow up in terms of my interest in professional soccer in the U.S. And 5 years ago, I had an epiphany that Phoenix, the 5th biggest city, one of the fastest growing cities, didn't have a Major League Soccer team. And I bought the then USL franchise called Arizona United. I found some incredible local partners, and we rebranded it to Phoenix Rising. We built a stadium. We've sold out ever since. We brought Didier Drogba, one of the greatest players of all time, to finish up his career and become part of our ownership group. So we've seen a great deal of success on and off the pitch. And so with that, I started to recognize there are other markets in the U.S., and I saw
the pitch is the field, in case you guys don't know that. Well, most people, I can't figure out whether most people get that lingo as, the vernacular, or whether some need to be oriented to it.
They're getting it, but I shouldn't just default to some of it. I should recognize sometimes you call it football, sometimes you call it soccer.
What do you call it?
I call it football.
You do?
Yeah.
Is that how you're going to brand it?
I think so.
Is the stadium going to say football?
So. Again, I want Rhode Island to take ownership of it, to do this right, Rhode Island. And I think Rhode Island they've embraced it since we announced. I've been overwhelmed, positively overwhelmed. I knew it would be well received. I had no idea it would be as great.
Wait a second now. You're going to call it football?
Rhode Island Football Club is our placeholder right now, but we call it Phoenix Rising Football Club in that market. There's New York City Football Club, which is the MLS franchise. So it's fairly common in the United States. Manchester United.
Not concerned under the wing of Patriots Nation that brand will be scoffed at or misunderstood or?
Yeah, what I'd say is I'd almost call the football portion of the naming silent. So it's really Phoenix Rising. At the end of the day, we'll figure out what the name will be. As I said, I want to open up to the state.
Well, the name of the show, this is just kind of a new concept. I think it's fascinating. The name of the team is seemingly inconsequential to its success, fun, but inconsequential to the bigger project. But I'm just wondering whether the reference to the sport will be soccer or football.
I'll refund anyone who comes to a game and thinks that you're going to show up to American football.
Yeah.
I'll put that out right now.
No, I know that confusion, but it's interesting.
It is. I mean, it goes.
Look, you got the money. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, they're interchangeable.
So, but you can understand why I'm fascinated
no, I understand.
by that.
And again, from in America, for sure, it's referred to as soccer. There's no doubt about that. So. Either way, soccer or football, the growth of the sport on an amateur level, youth, with boys and girls, and then the professional side. It's just been spectacular to see the way USL is growing, to see the way Major League Soccer is growing. And this is 6 years in advance of World Cup coming back to these shores. In 1994, when World Cup was here, it changed the trajectory of the sport here. That's when MLS launched, and you've seen a phenomenal growth since then. And I think it's just going to continue.
Okay, you think at Rhode Island's fertile ground. Give me the short synopsis on why it is.
Demographics. For sure, Italian, Portuguese, millennials, and this is a state that has a lot of participation with the sport. And then from a media perspective, if you look at Rhode Island consistently in the top 10 in terms of media viewership, and this is games of English Premier League games, World Cup games, etc. So the epiphany for me on this entire opportunity was I had a link to the state. I loved the years that I spent here. I have a great deal of pride relative to my association with the state. And I started to recognize this would be a fantastic way to bring a USL franchise to this market. And then I started to think, you want to ideally build a sense of community. You want to invest in the place around it. You don't want to have a stadium that's only lit up for 20 days a year. So then we started to think about what other real estate we could develop. And I was always interested in Pawtucket. I mean, if you look at the visuals of our design, it's phenomenal. Right off I-95, we've got a transportation hub coming in there, right on the water. It's I honestly believe you couldn't find a better place in the state to build this.
So what is the reality of the schedule of a USL soccer team? It plays in what season now?
So players show up in February for preseason. The first game is early March, and then the championship game is mid-November. So it's a long season.
But is it just 20 nights?
20 home, 20 away, 40 games.
Wow,
yeah.
so
approximately.
So soccer is more like football in terms of its downtime and rest time. So it's not baseball. You're not playing 3 games in a row.
That's
with
right.
against the
That's
same
right.
team.
You don't have 80, 90 games at home.
So 40 games over that stretch, March through November, is the traditional schedule.
And with half of them on the road. So and I think that's an important point, Dan, is that the stadium is really going to be a public benefit in terms of all the program we're going to put there. There'll be concerts. There'll be American football. There'll be rugby, lacrosse, field hockey. women's soccer, et cetera. So I intend on that stadium being effectively programmed as many nights a year.
What kind of
as
American football? What were you
high
thinking?
school. I mean, I'd love if Brown wants to go or I wants to play there. Any of the schools in Rhode Island want to come play there, we'd welcome it. But high school as well. I mean, if they want to host the state championship, whatever we can do, I think we're going to build a 7,500 seat venue that's going to be very intimate, easy to get in, easy to get out. Grab yourself a beer, some food. I've seen what we've done in Phoenix. I've seen how it's transformed that market, and we're going to copy and paste a fair bit of that success here.
Okay, well, that might start to answer my question, which was going to be, is this a soccer project with a cool bunch of stuff around it, or a cool bunch of stuff that will support a soccer stadium? We'll talk about it when we come back. Stay with us. So it's interesting, when I first saw these pictures, I thought, well, that's pretty cool on a bunch of different levels. I mean, listen, I'm just nothing but a dumb jock anyway, so if there's a stadium and there's a beer, I'm going. I've been told by I got a couple of buddies who are real good soccer fans who I've said to, I can't watch it. I mean, I just can't watch it on TV. But I have to admit that there's many people I know who tell me that I'm insane for sitting there and watching golf on television for 4 hours. I play golf. I'm a golf addict. Yeah. I understand the nuance of it, and I enjoy it. And you cannot suggest it's fast-paced, right? Soccer to me feels like, oh, for God's sake, they're ever going to score? Unless it's World Cup at the very end, then all of a sudden I understand, boom, right? But I'm not the market. You talked about Italians, Portuguese, and millennials. I'm a Catholic old fart. So, I mean, Irish Catholic old fart. So I'm not, but I'm sure I'll get it. Is it one of those things that once you see it live more, you start to feel it more and understand it better? Does the live experience turn into a better television viewer of soccer?
For sure. For firsthand in Phoenix, we have incredible supporters in there, and they come with their drums, and they come with the smoke when we score a goal. The atmosphere is electric, and people see it, and they come from all different sports, and they get exposed to it, and they want to be a part of it. And so it's, I don't want to say from a distance I can understand why it's not everyone's cup. I've got an older brother who we have this debate all the time. I mean, and he can't get his head around games that will end up in a tie.
Right.
But what I would say is, for a lot of reasons, the trajectory and interest in the sport is changing, and it's changing dramatically. And it's always been in the U.S., it's always been a high participation, but the quality of our players keep getting better. And then, most importantly, because of the investment showing English Premier League, which is the highest level of it, that has completely shifted Americans' introduction to it. They show it in prime time on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. A couple years ago, if you go into a bar or restaurant, you'd never see a soccer game on television. Now I go in, if I don't see a soccer game, it's more often the exception.
Speaking of the players, so this is a AAA level comparative.
Yeah.
Is it fair to make that?
It's not unfair.
Okay. It's funny, in Pawtucket and through the AAA, yeah, there's still some guys that are coming up and through, but a lot of them jump from AA and up. And so the AAA, you don't necessarily think that there are a lot of players that are going to be seen at Fenway unless there's a utility issue, that kind of thing. What's the caliber of players at this level for you?
So we have a lot of players that are absolutely young, talented, that are going up. And they're going up to major league.
It's not a resting place for has-beens.
We have some players that did play at MLS, and they still are very capable, and they don't want to retire and enjoy playing for us out in Phoenix and other USL markets. We have a lot of very young players that are incredibly talented that are going to go on to bigger leagues.
Do they make money?
For sure.
I mean real money. One of the things about AAA and below is the complaint is that they're almost indentured servants versus you make the big time and the whole dynamic changes.
So wages continue to go up and to the right, and in a positive sense. And then also we provide room and board for the players, and it's a 10-month contract. And so I think over the 5-year evolution that I've been involved with, the players are making.
Is it their full-time thing when they're here, or are they waiting tables as well?
By and large, they will be full-time, and some will do side jobs, and most of it will be in the sport of soccer, coaching, et cetera.
So, tell me, is this a soccer project with a real cool thing built next to it, or is it the real cool thing that really is the deal, and the soccer project is elemental, but a kind of bonus to the development?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think in this instance, maybe soccer is the tail wagging the dog a little bit. I mean, my interest and intention has been from the outset to bring professional soccer to Rhode Island. But that being said, it's not for the faint of heart in terms of how much you have to invest, and you have to find a great place to play for people to show up, and you have to build a stadium. And we intend on building that privately. But as such, we're going to want to build a lot of additional assets. So we want office space, we want to build multifamily housing, retail, commercial, bars, restaurants. Really make it, if you look at the complexes that are doing well, SunTrust Park in Atlanta, where the Braves play, LA Live, where I live in my backyard, there are countless examples of sports-anchored live block zones where people now work, people now live, people shop. When I first moved to LA, no one was going downtown LA other than to go watch a Lakers game. Now people are selling their homes and moving to downtown LA. It's been a complete transformation. And you're seeing that over and over again across the country. And I think Pawtucket on a different scale, but we intend on really shifting the trajectory of this region through this investment.
You've done the research on soccer. You've done the research on whether you can fill those office spaces, condominiums, housing, however it ends up rolling out there on the other side of the footbridge over the Seacrest River.
Yeah.
And
the response has been fantastic. We have a lot of work to do.
By whom?
By the amount of people who, since we announced a little over a week ago, my email, my phone, has been any way someone can get in touch with me.
Developers?
I'm talking about individuals who want to, that are in the state, that want to understand what are you going to build, how much is it going to cost, when can I learn more. Corporations that have started to say that location of your site, right off I-95, they know about the transportation hub that's coming into Pawtucket.
Can I ask you about that? The hub is going to change Pawtucket's dynamic completely.
For sure.
You thinking that people think it's cool to be in Boston or who live in Boston will feel like this is the place that's really cool and is half price?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And by the way, you got a professional soccer team right down the street. You've got a great food hall, beer hall. So I think people are going to want to move to Pawtucket, and we need to program, and other developers will start to fill in other areas around the city. This will have a catalytic impact.
When we come back, there are some missing links. There always are at the beginning. When we come back, stay with us.
You've heard me for the last 3 years, 4 years, pitching that how important Hasbro is to Pawtucket. We want to keep them here. We've given them multiple options over the years, and get nervous because we hear the rumors. I've heard in the past, they might be going. We are respecting them. They're a private business. We've made it clear that we want them here in Pawtucket. We believe that we have multiple sites that would fit their needs. This one now really enhances that because it would help that Fortuitous development, as well as by getting the people in there, as you said, Dan, and also to them will have all of the amenities that they want.
So that's the mayor, obviously, responding to a question that I had. When word got to me at the announcement with Mr. Johnson, the governor, all the heads of state, all getting all excited about this whole $400 million deal, a lot of whispers in my ear that the real needle thread here is that Hasbro would jump on the situation. If we can put the full screen up again, Kevin, I just want to. So as you look to the left, that's the cool stadium, and to the right is this incredible development, which, by the way, has already been all that land has already been claimed by the city of Pawtucket. So it is easily transferable and developable. And actually, if you look at the south part of that land, there's already a landing where they do the boat staying, the duck boats, whatever the heck it is. Over the highway is the Apex site redeveloped with a hotel and the stadium, well, I should say the indoor sports facility that you're now planning to do. Yep. Apex has not yet been acquired.
That's right.
It's a complete Achilles heel for the city of Pawtucket. They got to wrap this thing up within the 120-day diligence time. You're doing diligence. Are you putting any gun to anybody's head, by the way, on the Apex thing?
Not at all.
If they can't finish the Apex thing, you're going anyway.
We're going.
That if you could put the site back up, Kev, for a second. So you'd love to see people walking from the right side of the river that you're looking at. Again, we're looking to the east. I'm sorry, we're looking to the west, actually, sort of, through the 95, out to Apex into downtown Pawtucket. There's a walkway that you'd like to see from the landing under the highway out to that top site that would all be contiguous if it all comes together, correct?
That's the dream scenario.
So we'll call the left side A, meaning the soccer stadium, the right side B, that's the landing with all the cool riverwalky type of stuff, and then C is Apex. That turns into an indoor fields function hotel thing. If you can't get C, you're going to do A and B.
Absolutely.
Locked in.
Absolutely.
Have the funding, want to do it, it's a go.
You need A and B. Those are, if you look at that site, and we have it, effectively, we have A and B.
A and B, C's a bonus.
C's a bonus.
You're going to have an agreement contingent on C,
no,
or you're going to wait until they finish C?
Godspeed relative to Pawtucket's dialogue with the Apex site, commerce's discussions, et cetera. But from Fortuitous' perspective, we have what we need. We've got a great dialogue on Tidewater, which is National Grid. And then the city of Pawtucket owns the Division Street property.
Tidewater is the actual land where the stadium's going to be. There's a headline today that it's dirty. That's not new news. We knew that. It's
They've been
environmental.
mitigated.
They got to clean it up.
Providence Journal did a great job covering it, but it's not. It's something that we're well aware of.
Right.
And they're doing a great
So
job.
A and B is good. C is an option, but if Don Grebian secures that property, you're not going to go, don't bother. You want it. If he can deliver it, you
sure,
want it.
We're all in.
All right, now here's the other option. And you were, what I've enjoyed about you, having just met you personally, but on the phone last week, it's not like you were hiding anything. It's a pretty transparent operation you got going here. I said, hey, there's this needle thread rumor about Hasbro. Can Hasbro come in and take C? Take that site north, or I should say west of just adjacent to 95, create the experiential thing that they want for their employees, a pretty cool place, a Riverwalkie type of thing, a stadium. You're good with that.
Absolutely.
And then you would focus more of your investment to what was in your original application to repurpose the McCoy sites?
Possibly. We're very interested in McCoy, but I'd probably look at taking the event center, and I have our architects who are fantastic. I'm now challenged them to look at putting the event center and stadium together with a hotel. So that would be that Tidewater site, 365 days of activation there.
Oh, time out. That's new news.
Yeah. I wanted to break it here.
No. I'm not getting.
I'm joking.
It is. No. It is
Yeah.
new news.
Yeah, it is.
So that C site where you were going to do the indoor leagues training,
Yeah.
right?
The response since we announced, we've got a lot of corporate interest. We have a lot of companies that are looking for office space. They need more room, not less room. They want it off easy access. They want it near a train depot. So this checks a lot of boxes, and it's Opportunity Zone, which is also a nice program.
So you are going to meld what you originally had for C into A.
We're exploring it. We're exploring it. So if C never comes, the event center is a critical driver of economic activity, foot traffic, et cetera. It's imperative that we program that. So I either want to program it in Division or Tidewater, or I would put it on McCoy, but I'm putting it somewhere. We're going to do an event center.
And you would be open, even if you meld C to A, you would be open still to developing practice fields and all sorts of
Absolutely.
things up at McCoy.
I need something for our professional sports team, and then I want boys and girls playing on our fields 365 days a year. So McCoy would be fantastic for 6+ fields.
When are we full speed ahead, green light, go?
We're full speed ahead right now.
But you got due diligence over 120
No, 120 days. But I mean, we're spending real money right now doing market studies. We're going to start to do environmental in terms of how to get both Tidewater and Division Street moving dirt as quickly as possible. So 2020 is a critical year, and we're going to move forward with it.
All right. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for the time.
Football?
Soccer. You might convert me. I'm looking forward to having a beer with you on opening night.
You just kick it. Final word when we come back. That is not an insignificant little thing. Thank God I asked the question, right? Because if now that Apex site is clean and green for Don Grebian to negotiate as he wants to, or Commerce, Stefan Pryor, the Secretary of Commerce, it also leaves a green light for Hasbro to come in there and or something else. Pretty cool. We'll talk more about it next week. But that's a development. We like that on the show. Good night.